All right, family, friends, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the retirement ceremony for Electrician's Mate Nuclear Master Chief Bart Levin, culminating in 24 years of service to the United States Navy. Please rise for the arrival of the official party and remain standing for the singing of our national anthem and the invocation. Executive Officer, MPTU Charleston, arriving. Master Chief Petty Officer, United States Navy, arriving. Color Guard, parade the colors. Our national anthem was sung and recorded for this ceremony by retired Master Chief Marvin Kiambao. And salute.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watch were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets' red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave.
Color Guard, retire the colors. Ready, two. Chaplain Redmond will now deliver the invocation.
Please join me in prayer. Let us pray. Almighty God, we welcome your presence as we gather here to celebrate the decades of service and sacrifice Master Chief Bart Levin and his family have afforded to us. We ask that your Spirit be upon this celebration and that you help our genuine efforts to honor the esteemed career of our brother, fellow shipmate. As Bart sheds the cherished uniform he has worn for much of his life, may he find joy and solace in knowing he's leaving behind a rewarding and honorable legacy, and that his kind and compassionate presence will be dearly missed by those who served alongside him. Let his heart be flooded with wonderful memories from the past and great anticipation for the future. And as Bart's friends and family support him as he transitions into the next phase of life, may they too find pride in all that he has accomplished and all that he will continue to accomplish. We pray these things with the greatest sense of thankfulness and gratitude. Amen.
Please be seated. Bosun, retire to side, boys. Awesome. Well, good morning once again. I'm retired Master Chief Ernie Cruz, and I'll be your Master of Ceremonies for today. Welcome. Welcome to Master Chief Levin's retirement ceremony. So I know we have some family members here and friends that are traveling from all over the place. Mandy from Hawaii, is that correct? Wow, that's awesome. Thank you for being here. Leo and Nancy, California. Great, thank you. Paul and Jerry, making a nice drive over here. Awesome, appreciate y'all. Deanna, Boston, I hear? Thank you for being here. So welcome to Charleston, where it's actually always humid like this, after a nice rainstorm. And so we're doing our best with the fans, and I think we're thoughtful enough to have those fans in the seats, so definitely, please take advantage of that. Yeah, and obviously friends and shipmates that Master Chief Levin has served with are all present here today, so thank you for being here. So the retirement ceremony, right, it's a time-honored tradition that really honors not just the service member, but in this case, the family members as well. Right? Throughout the years, we've incorporated the family a little bit more and a lot more, just because of how much that base really matters, right, at home. Right? So that allows the service members, the young men and women, some of us a little bit older, men and women, right, to go out there and serve our country. Right? Whether it's on submarines, aircraft carriers shooting Top Gun Maverick. Who has seen that? Yeah? Oh, man, not everybody's seen Top Gun Maverick? Okay. Contrary to popular belief, the original Top Gun was not shot on this awesome aircraft carrier, Yorktown, that you're on right now. Okay? It is not shot on here. It was shot on the Enterprise, okay? But really, the family, right, is what keeps the service members grounded, right? They're able to take care of what's going on at home, so then the service member can focus on doing what the country needs us to do. So really, thank you for showing up here and supporting Bart throughout these years. So can I please give a hand to the family members here? So on behalf of the Commanding Officer of Nuclear Power Training Unit Charleston and Master Chief Levin, we welcome as many shipmates, friends, colleagues, and family as we recognize his 24 years of service to the United States Navy. I'd like to extend a especially warm welcome to his wife, Katie. Hi, Katie. Abigail. Hi, Abigail. And Caroline. She's very interested with that fan right now. It's awesome. Yeah. We know that you, more than any one of us, are vividly aware of the sacrifice that Bart has made in the service of his country. And I would like to speak for the entire command when we say how much we appreciate you for being here today. So thank you. So the retirement ceremony that you're about to witness today is steeped in tradition and dates back to the 1700s. It is the Navy's way of expressing appreciation for a job well done. It is a sincere, official recognition of a long period of faithful and honorable service. It's a day of great significance, marking the end of a richly rewarding way of life, living and working aboard ships in the greatest Navy in the world, sailing the world's oceans in defense of freedom. During today's ceremony, Master Chief Levin will be presented with mementos recognizing and expressing the nation's appreciation for 24 years of service. And Bart is so special, or Master Chief Levin, Bart, we affectionately call him, right, is so special that he has 2 guest speakers here today. 2, all right? So that's how awesome he is. And it gives me great pleasure to actually be the Master of Ceremonies for here, because some of you may know this, but a lot of people don't, but Bart and I were on our first ship together. the USS Carl Vinson back in 2001, right? You reported in 2001, so I reported in 1999, and we were deployed for 9/11 actually. And so obviously that was a tough time for everybody, but you know, that was when I started to know the character of Master Chief Levin, of Bart, right? Like really, you know, what was demanded of us during that time, what was demanded for everybody was really tough, you know, and I worked through, you know, grinding and being junior electricians through the ranks with Bart, and really that's when I started to see his character. And you know, a few years ago when I got stationed here at MPT Charleston, I was amazed and I was glad when I saw that Master Chief Levin was coming to this site. And I'm like, that's awesome. Please come work with me. You're pretty cool. He was senior chief back then. And then pretty quickly, he made Master Chief, which was well-deserved because of all the efforts and obviously his performance on his last ship. You were out in the Reagan, weren't you? Out in Japan. So yeah, so that was definitely a challenging yet rewarding tour. And so I got to work with Bart again. And I thought that's pretty cool, bookend, you know, being able to be there when we first started and then being here to close out his naval service. So thank you, Bart. I appreciate it, and I really do, you know. So it is my great pleasure to introduce today's first guest speaker, retired Senior Chief Brian Decker. Brian?
All right. Good morning, everybody. I'm a little bit taller than that. All right. First off, I wanted to start off by saying what an honor it is for him to pick me out of a 24-year career for someone to come up and speak during his retirement ceremony, and the trust that he has in me, knowing what a joker I am, to speak to all of you on his behalf. So probably the trust is probably the biggest thing there. I mean, he's watched me roast people my entire career when I was in, and then he invites me to come do it to him, but I will not. So you heard Ernie speak a little bit about Bart's character, and I think anyone that knows Bart, you know, really would say nothing but the highest compliments about Bart's character and the way that he presents himself, both personally and professionally. So, you know, for me, when I was thinking about, you know, how do I want to come up and discuss, you know, this illustrious career that Bart had, you know, at first, of course, like I said, I thought about roasting him, and then I was like, you know, that wouldn't do Bart justice, because who Bart really is to his core really embodies the core values of the United States Navy, right? So on October 13, 1775, you know, the Continental Congress, you know, established the Navy, and since then the values of that Navy have been in each and every sailor. And I think Bart truly, probably more than anyone I've met, embodies those values. So I started out there, right? So, you know, first with honor, right? Having the highest ethical conduct in all relationships and being honest and truthful in those relationships and the work that he did. Absolutely. Bart upheld his integrity and his character and everything that he did off the ship, on the ship, everything that I saw him do. If someone was not exhibiting those core values, Bart would quickly step in and teach them, right? And I think that's a theme you're going to hear throughout what I'm telling you today, is that, you know, Bart not only embodied these core values, but he also, when someone wasn't embodying those core values, he had enough pride in the United States Navy that he stepped in and he taught them on how to do better. Always teaching, right? Whether it be from a technical standpoint down in the propulsion plants to, you know, as I said, the Navy core values, Bart is always teaching and always raising up the spirits and the knowledge of everyone around him. Always an ambassador of the Navy, right? Everywhere we went, Bart was talking about the program. Bart was talking about what he does for a living and what we all do, and very proud of what we do for a living, and very proud to train and bring other folks up there. All right, so let's talk a little bit about courage. Courage, you know, to meet the demands of our profession and the mission. And when you think about courage, you probably think about running into battle, right? Or something of that nature. But that's not all that courage is, right? So I'm going to tell you a couple stories on either side of this. One, you know, we were on the ship. You probably remember this, Bart. We had a load center that exploded, right? It exploded. Everyone's running out. One person ran in. That was Bart. I was down in the plant. Bart's the only one that showed up. And he said, what can I do, right? And so when everyone's running away, Bart's running in to make sure that we're restoring the propulsion plant, making sure that the Navy can continue to support our mission. We were on deployment at the time, supporting combat troops in action. Another area, we had a steam leak. People are coming out of the plant. Bart and I were actually sitting and eating lunch. You remember this one? So we're sitting and eating lunch. They call it away. We're watching everyone stream out. Now, if you've never been on a ship before, steam leaks are scary, right? Even small ones seem like the world is ending. But we crawled down and we were able to actually identify who was still in the space and who needed help, and identified the issue and corrected it. But that shows courage, right? Instead of waiting for a team to go in and take care of this, Bart went in and assessed the situation, made sure it was safe for himself and our sailors, and went in and took action. But that's not everything that courage is, right? Sometimes courage is doing what's right even when it's hard, right? I've definitely seen Bart show a lot of courage, and if someone's not doing the right thing, like I said before, Bart steps in and he fixes that situation. Even if it's somebody he really likes, even if it's someone that's not of the same rank, right? Bart has the courage to go in and make those corrections because the Navy and the mission mean more than someone's rank or him really liking somebody. So he's always doing what's right. Sorry, I'm even getting emotional. You're making me cry. No, just Bart embodying courage is something I've even seen outside of the ship, right? When he met my family, and he was talking to my wife and eventually my kids. He was explaining to them, just like I've seen him do to many sailors, on how important family is and how hard it is when we're out to sea. And Bart having the courage to step in and address these topics with my wife. You would never think that as being the definition of courage, but I think it takes a lot of courage to stand up and have a very difficult conversation with someone like that. All right, commitment. This is really long. This is my longest one. Having care for the safety, professional, personal, and spiritual well-being of everyone around Bart. Bart is probably the most committed person I've ever met in my life. You've heard a lot of me saying, the dedication that Bart's shown, the character that Bart shows. So I'm going to start with being a commitment to his sailors. Being a chief isn't just a job, right? We handle problems that most employers would run away from. One story, and you may remember this, Bart, but we had a sailor. We were out on deployment, and she had left her cat at a boarding house. You remember this one? And they've been trying to get a hold of her. She assumed that they would just dispose of the cat. They did not. They kept running up her bill and trying to get a hold of her to figure out who's going to come pick up this cat, who's going to pay the bill that she owes. So they end up calling us on deployment on the ship. And so, they get on the phone with Bart, and I was there with them, and they were like, hey, she owes us. Do you remember how much it was? It was like almost $10,000, wasn't it? It was a lot of money for this cat. And so, most employers would be like, well, talk to her about that. It's not my problem. But, Bart worked out a payment plan, and we were able to find someone to come pick up and give that cat a good home. But, that's when you're out fighting a war, that's not something you think you're going to have to deal with, right? Family issues, right? When you're out on deployment and your sailors are experiencing deaths in the family or issues that happen at home, those are things that most employers don't have to face. And as a chief, you do. And Bart definitely, I've watched him just masterfully, help these sailors get back onto the mission, get back to what they need to be doing, and giving them the time and the space they need to go through these issues. Performance issues, right? If you're not in the military and you're not out on mission, performance issues, you may just go away, right? You may get fired. Can't really fire people when you're out fighting a war, right? So that takes a lot of these core values that we're talking about to not only address the situation, but actually find a way that resonates with the sailor to allow them to improve every day, right? And that's something that Bart was very, very, very good at. Bart can take a person and find out the root cause of why they're not performing and really address that root cause and ensure that, without them even knowing it, he's improving their lives from that day forward. Goals. I've watched Bart sit down with sailors on multiple occasions and just finding out, hey, why did you join the Navy? Right? How can I help you reach that goal? Right? Was it a college education? Let's look into some classes that you can take. Was it service? What would you like to do after the Navy? Let me help prepare you for these things. Those are things that I've watched Bart do with each and every sailor that's been in his charge. Commitment to the mission. Here comes the Terminator story, Bart. So if you didn't know, and I encourage you to ask him to do this for you if you haven't heard it, Bart can do a very, very impressive Arnold Schwarzenegger impression. So we were on the USS Carl Vinson, and we started seeing a lot of electrical safety issues. And so Bart and I sat down and we said, well, we need to train the ship. So after talking to the CO, we went, and as you can tell, I'm kind of monotone most of the time, right? And I'm boring, but Bart is not. So we went and we provided training to the entire ship, but one of the skits we had is Bart put on a 4160 volt, arc flash suit and came around the corner. I wish you would come up here and do this, will you? I'll do it for you if you don't want. And he comes around the corner and he's like, I am the electrical safety terminator. I'm here to terminate all electrical safety violations. And it was great. Something I think about in my brain all the time when I think about Bart. In addition to always training, Bart was always learning, right? Bart spent a considerable amount of time learning the technical details of our reactor plants, learning the technical details of our steam plants, so that he could provide that training, right? And I'll be honest with you, he outstudied me every single time. I'm looking at him like he's crazy, and then he would outscore me on the CT. So, but as you can see, the theme here is Bart performs to his highest level in everything that he does, professionally, personally, engaging with his sailors, and it was such a joy to watch that. And I learned so much from Bart during my time in the Navy. Lastly, commitment to his family. Family is always first for Bart. In every conversation I had with him, he would relate what we were doing back to how it's going to better his family and how much Katie and the family meant to him. And as you can see today, even as we're walking around before the ceremony starts, everything that Bart does is for his family, and it's such a joy to stand here and watch that continue as he moves on to his next step. All right, in conclusion, so as you can see, I've laid out, tried not to roast him the whole time, right? I did a good job at that, right? But try to lay out, how, when I think about Master Chief Levin, what I think about is the Navy core values. And so, I could not help myself but to come up here and be serious with you a little bit and tell you about that, because that is the legacy that he leaves, right? And that's the most important thing here, is all the sailors that he's trained and all the people that are still serving today are better because Master Chief Levin was in the Navy and engaged and took the time to train and motivate them to be better every day. So I really look forward to see what Bart does next. Katie, Abigail, Caroline, I know you get to spend a little more time with them. And, huh? It is a little weird, yeah. You have to make sure you call my wife and ask her for tips there, because she hasn't killed me yet. But we thanked you all. I want to thank you again. Thank you so much for the support that you've given him over the last 24 years. I've seen the impact of that firsthand. As we're having rough days, and he gets a letter or he gets an email from you, and just how he lights up, and it carries him through. So you really were the backbone of his career, and I wanted to thank you for that. And thank you everyone for listening to me today. I will yield the floor back to Master Chief Retired Cruz.
Thank you, Retired Senior Chief Brian Decker. Sir. The executive officer will now present the Levin family with certificates of appreciation. So, Katie, Abigail and Caroline, which you may or may not have any choice, please come up to the stage. And Amanda as well, please come up. Yes. All right, so the family here will be receiving certificates of appreciation from the United States Navy on behalf of Commanding Officer MPTU Charleston. So, please. There you go. Bart, yeah, please come up. All right. So, you want to say a few words? Okay. To all who shall see these presents, greetings. Greetings. By the authority vested in me, it is my pleasure to express to you, Abigail, Caroline, and Amanda, the grateful appreciation of the United States Navy for your unselfish, patriotic, and devoted service during your father and brother's military career. Your unfailing support and understanding helped immeasurably to make possible his lasting contribution to this nation. These months, indeed years, spent away from you constitute a clear and noble demonstration of his love for you and his family. His dedicated service helped to ensure you inherit a safer world and a surer peace. He made our Navy stronger and kept our nation safe. With his service to the Navy now complete, he will be able to spend more time with you in the future. The United States Navy and I thank you and wish you and your family all the best in your future endeavors. Given his 30th day of September 2022, GR Captain United States Navy Commanding Officer, MPTU Charleston, South Carolina. To Mrs. Katie Levin, to all who shall see these presents, greetings. Greetings. Today, after completing 24 years of active naval service, your husband has ended an honorable and faithful service to his country, and his efforts are sincerely appreciated. Such a rich and rewarding career reflects a strong commitment to the principles of freedom and democracy, and the belief that they must be upheld at any cost. That type of total commitment is not possible without the full support of the entire family. Your loyalty and dedication were significant sources of strength for your husband during arduous duty and exemplified the highest traditions of patriotism. On behalf of the Department of the Navy and the officers and crew of MPTU Charleston, South Carolina, I extend to you a sincere thank you and express our appreciation for a job well done. On this 30th day of September 2022, GR Captain United States Navy, Commanding Officer, MPTU Charleston, South Carolina. Good photos? All right, photos. Awesome. Woo! Uh-oh, is that extra flowers? Here, we'll put- All right, so. Also, I love Caroline's outfit. True sailor outfit right there. Awesome. Ladies and gentlemen, it is my pleasure to introduce our next guest speaker, retired Master Chief Kevin Erskine.
Captain, distinguished military guests, ladies and gentlemen, good morning and thank you for coming. It's awesome to celebrate Bart's service to our nation. I apologize in advance for my voice. I spent the week in the northern of your Carolinas and drove down last night, and the plant life has definitely got me going here. Bart and Katie, I'm truly honored to have the opportunity to offer some remarks on this esteemed occasion. I included both of you in that sentence because no sailor can serve without the dedicated support of their family. Certainly no sailor can reach the position of Master Chief Petty Officer without the dedicated support of their spouse and their family. So thanks to all who helped Bart on his journey. I retired from the Navy myself in 2014. How time flies. I must confess that I really miss the privilege of being around sailors every day. You will too, Bart. A few weeks from now, we will commemorate the anniversary of the horrific attacks of 9/11. I challenge the audience to a rededication of love of our country as we approach that commemoration and to helping those around you. I challenge you to thank servant leaders like Bart. Although nothing can replace the honor and privilege that is inherent in leading sailors, Act 2 can be very rewarding as well. Katie, Abigail, and Caroline will certainly appreciate having you around. Thank you for being a sailor, Bart, and living up to the responsibilities that come with the title. Thanks for your unwavering dedication to training your sailors and the consistent unity you displayed. In your career, you signed up people as a recruiter. You trained them up at Prototype and NMPTC. Always a teacher. Every sailor knows that the word leadership and the title Chief Petty Officer go hand in hand. You can't say one without thinking of the other. Bart, you provided that leadership. Technical expertise in numerous shipboard tours, Nimitz, Vincent ×2, the Reagan. Over the course of multiple deployments, you supported many operations, Enduring Freedom, Valiant Shield, Keen Sword, to name a few. Bart, you knew that combat readiness required that your sailors were well taken care of and that the ship and her equipment were top-notch all the time. For the last several decades, sailors look to you for the example of all that is great in our Navy. Looking back at your legacy, it includes service, sacrifice, leadership in peace and war, and in times of national crisis. And I think you fully acknowledge the privilege of leading sailors and embraced striving to drive towards excellence. Aircraft carriers and submarines project our nation's power anywhere on the planet. They provide, when necessary, lethal firepower with incredible precision. They ensure that we provide close air support to troops on the ground. And they allow service in a variety of humanitarian areas, just to name a few. And of course, these capital assets also are the best deterrent of nuclear war. You trained sailors that operated these ships, and they'll continue to operate these ships. And you served in multiple carriers yourself. You served on Vincent when we were trying to find and kill bin Laden. And you were there when that high-value asset was brought to our ship for burial at sea. If that wasn't impressive enough, you were a leader in the ship that supported the tiny country of Haiti after a terrible earthquake in 2010. And there was a lot more done there than just providing water. Right? There were people whose lives were saved through amputations and other sort of brutal things that had to be done. You spent late hours, long deployments, harsh times, dangerous environments during numerous operations at sea and ashore, and at times risking your own life. You set the example, Bart, and for this, you should be proud. You supported your sailors' husbands, wives, children. You recognized that these folks were every bit as important as the sailor that served. Our nation needs strong leaders, solutions, not problems. You joined the Navy because it was the right thing to do. You continued to serve a long and distinguished career. I'm confident in the Navy that you're leaving. Bart, you were the naval leader that worried parents, spouses, and children put their trust in to take care of their sailors on deployments or in routine operations. You were accountable to your sailors. You were dedicated to them. You made sure that they had the highest readiness and met the highest standards. You did the right thing even when it was not popular. And you did this because you lived much of your career when you were obligated by fouled anchor and a community of loyal comrades with the same goals and customary traditions of unity, service, and navigation towards what is right for our Navy, for sailors and their families. In addition to being a sailor and leader, you served as a member of an elite technical force that is critical to defending our national security. A team of nuclear trained professionals who stress integrity and moral courage every day. To summarize and close, you served our country and her people with pride and honor. You sought no special favors and were charged with a leadership role like no other in the world, and you excelled at it. You developed junior officers and molded sailors. You acknowledged full responsibility for the actions of your sailors. You lived by the Navy's core values. And not to mention, you established the standards of performance. Your sailors were your students, and you were their teacher. Sailors looked up to you because you treated them with dignity and respect. That certainly came through in the previous guest speaker's remarks. You knew that sailors need a leader, and so you were there for them. As I said before, I miss most the awesome gift that was inherent in the responsibility to lead sailors, and I'm sure you will too. But I have a strong sense of the future based on the leadership you provided. Thanks, Bart. Now, aloha. And Act 2 for you, Katie, and your beautiful daughters will be awesome. So we'll have you looking a little less formal for the rest.
Thank you, sir. If you guys can't see, that is a kukui nut necklace from Hawaii. If you had the pleasure of visiting Hawaii over there, so is there a backstory behind there? You guys were
He's obligated to pass it along to whoever he speaks for next.
awesome. Great. All right, the executive officer will now present Master Chief Levin with his retirement awards. Please step forward, XO and Master Chief. Military members, attention to award. The President of the United States takes pleasure in presenting the Meritorious Service Medal to Master Chief Electrician's Mate Nuclear Surface Warfare Bartholomew M. Levin, United States Navy, for service as set forth in the following citation. For outstanding meritorious service while serving as Sailor Development Group Lead, Naval Nuclear Power Training Unit Charleston, South Carolina from June 2019 to August 2022. Master Chief Levin demonstrated impressive leadership, innovative thinking, and superb management ability as he led the creation of the command's Sailor Development Group. His foresight and unrelenting commitment to the personal and professional development of 3,500 sailors, civilians, and students drove marked improvements in productivity, morale, conduct, professionalism, and training effectiveness. He successfully campaigned to bring Navy leadership development training to all 6 Navy commands on Joint Base Charleston, ensuring all sailors in the Charleston area were afforded the opportunity to attend. As the Moore Training Ship 635 Executive Leading Chief Petty Officer, he oversaw the planning and execution of the inactivation and relocation of the Navy's oldest operating Moore training ship while simultaneously executing the training mission. His leadership in the command's Executive Steering Committee led to new recycling initiatives that saved the Navy thousands of dollars and helped improve the environment. Master Chief Levin's superior performance of his duties culminated his 24 years of honorable and dedicated military service. Master Chief Levin's exceptional professionalism, personal initiative, and loyal dedication to duty reflected great credit upon himself and upheld the highest traditions of the United States Naval Service. For the President, signed J.F. Caldwell, Jr., Admiral, United States Navy. Please be seated. Let's see, Master Chief, oh, where are you going, Master Chief? Not yet. Master Chief will now present with retirement gifts for the NPTU Chief Petty Officer Association and the NPTU Master Chief Mess. NPTU Command Master Chief Zach Montel will be presenting these awards. Your office. Good. His shrine, Lovey Wall, yeah? Yeah, if you guys weren't aware, right, Master Chief Levin is working from home now in his next career, and so that's why Katie's like, it's kind of weird having him around a lot, you know? Don't you have work to do? Like, right?
Not exactly half the money, but it's definitely twice the man.
Yeah, definitely. Mallory, will you please come up? Mallory Williams will now read A Navy Wife. Abigail, do you want to come up?
A Navy wife. A Navy wife has so much to bear. She's everything at once, no one could compare. When God made her, he had perfection in mind, for nowhere on earth is another her kind. She leads a life not many would choose, for her job is the hardest in the military to do. She is courageous and strong, one would say made of steel, but way deep down is a heart that can feel. She stands by her husband, so proud and so tall, and waits many nights by the phone for a call. She's mommy and daddy all rolled into one. She'll never rest easy until her job's done. She sits all alone, and in silence she cries, did I do a good job? Is my family all right? But deep in her heart, she knows that it's true. God is right beside her, helping her through.
Abigail, you want to come up? Awesome. It's okay.
I'm going to read on behalf of Abigail because she would like me to. So, the life of a sailor's daughter. I was born a sailor's daughter, my life spent at water's edge. The days the ships would take him were the days that I would dread. In the evenings, I'd sit on the beach, my mother next to me. To send our love out to him, we'd blow kisses out to sea. From far-off lands, he sent his love in gifts of silk and gold. But I longed to curl up in his lap and nestle in his hold. And on the days his ships returned, my mother and I were there, and every sailor on the rail, I saw my daddy there. He'd hold my mother closely, pull her tightly to his chest. With a wink out of his tearful eye, he'd let me know that I was next. The first embrace, my favorite, as he lifted me in the air. Daddy, please don't leave again, yet he'd just smile and stare. But this night, as we sit in the sand, my father says to me, for your sailor who is underway, just blow kisses out to sea.
That was very sweet. That's awesome. Yeah. All right, ladies and gentlemen. Bart, are you ready? I don't think we have any Kleenex up here, but okay, all right. You don't have a sleeve to wipe it on, so, but I present to you Master Chief Levin.
Thank you to everyone for being here today to celebrate this special occasion with me and my family, my shipmates, my loved ones, the command. XO Turboville, thank you so much for being here. I really appreciate your leadership at the command and helping us through all the different challenges we faced over the past few years, including COVID. Your leadership has been instrumental in overcoming those challenges and continuing our mission. Chaplain Redmond, thank you for being here, sir. Captain Kep, thank you, sir, for taking time out of your schedule to come here today. Appreciate it. CMC Montella, same thing. Appreciate it, Zach. And my guest speakers, Brian and Kevin, thank you guys so much for being here and taking time out away from your families to show up here to support mine. Same thing with Ernie. Thank you for also traveling. You've all had such a positive impact on me and my career and on my family, and I'm honored to call you my friends and my brothers. I can't thank you enough for being here. It means so much to Katie and I to see all of your faces, shipmates, friends, family, some whom I've known for years and some whom I've just met just recently. I want to thank retired Master Chief Marvin Kiambo for singing the beautiful rendition of the national anthem for us. I really appreciate it. Unfortunately, he couldn't be here. He's taking his son to college today, but he's with us in spirit and in voice. I want to thank all of those who traveled from all over the country to be here. First, the person that has known me the longest, even before I joined the Navy, my sister Mandy, who has always been there for me and has traveled all the way from Hawaii. It's very fitting that I'm wearing this necklace now. And she's about to get married here in a couple weeks as well, and we're going to go out and be part of her wedding in Hawaii. So I'm so thankful that you're here, and so thankful we get to be part of your ceremony here in a couple weeks. I'd like to thank my parents, my mother Claudia, who's in Arizona, unfortunately couldn't travel to be here with us today, and my father Bill, who is looking down on us today. Dad, I know you're up there somewhere, and I appreciate everything that you've done for me and Mandy and Mom. I'd like to thank my extended family, my mother and father-in-law who are here today, Nancy and Leo. You really are my second parents. I've traveled all the way from California to be with us here today. And first, I'd like to thank you for allowing your daughter to take a chance on a sailor, a Navy recruiter at the time. I know you were skeptical, to say the least, letting your daughter run off with a sailor she just met a few months ago to move down to San Diego without any promise of a future or a ring or marriage or anything like that. So I think part of you kind of figured she just joined the Navy afterwards or something. I don't know. You've opened your heart and your family to me, and I could not be more grateful and proud and fortunate to be part of your wonderful family. You've been such a rock for me and Katie and everything that we've been through in my career, and supported us in every step of the way, and I can't thank you enough. Also, I'd like to thank my extended family from California being here today, Uncle Paul and Aunt Jerry. Thank you so much for being here as well. It was a long drive out there from California, but you guys are always there for our family, for every member of the family, and we really appreciate everything that you've done, not only for our family, but for the Giovanetti family as well. I'd like to thank Dom and Mercia for coming out as well. Unfortunately, they couldn't be here due to a medical issue, but they are with us here in spirit, and they are here in Charleston, so they are thinking about us right now. Also, I'd like to thank Deanna and Lee and Kate for coming out, and Aunt Ginny. Really appreciate you making the trip as well. It's so great to see you here today, and we can share this special event with you. I'd like to thank all of the shipmates and friends and brothers and sisters in the Chief's Mess that have supported me over the years. It is true what they say, that the Chief's Mess is truly the greatest fraternity in the world. Unity, service, and navigation are the hallmarks of what being a chief is all about. It's written on our anchors. That's what USN stands for, what Kevin talked about earlier. Right? It's unity, being together, being united, and taking care of one another. Service, right? Service to our country, service to our Navy, and service to each other. And navigation, always looking to the future for guidance and self-improvement, and looking for ways to make the world better, to make the world a better place. That's part of what the Navy is all about, right? A global force for good, and the Navy is certainly that. I'm honored to be a part of the Chief's Mess while in uniform and now in retirement, because once a chief, always a chief. There are too many chiefs to thank, but I will name a few, some of whom, unfortunately, are no longer with us. Tony Bagay, one of my first chiefs on the Nimitz, who helped me and Brian make our transition to becoming chiefs. and his leadership was very instrumental in my career. Jeff Peterson, Shane Floating, Bill Blair, Kurt Triever, Francis Urbage, Stan Olson, Rob Auger, Will Nocon, Dan Duran, thank you so much for being here, Dan. Derek Cross, Jaime Herrera, Rob Perry, Derek Ruel, Zach Montello, and Ryan Feeney, just to name a few shipmates. All of you are some of the greatest chiefs, friends, and brothers a sailor could have. I've also had the privilege to serve with some outstanding officers who've had a profound impact on me as a person, as a leader, as a sailor, and as a chief. I'd like to thank my first reactor officer, Captain Client, Craig Client, who always had the back of his sailors. You'll probably remember him, Ernie. Probably my favorite reactor officer of all time. He was very intimidating. He had these glasses, very serious person, never joked around, didn't really say much. But he knew his business, and he knew how to run a department and run his wardroom. And he also knew how to interact with the chief's mess in a very positive way. I never really saw it at the time, being a junior sailor, but I definitely felt it through my leaders at the time in the Navy. You could always tell how much he cared about sailors and how proud he was of his department. He always had their back, whether it was duty section rotation or holding off the shipyard on doing work and maintenance at after hours. He would hold true to his convictions and what he said, to have the backs and the welfare of his sailors, and that influenced me to act in that same fashion throughout my career. I'll never forget my first oral board with Captain Client when I was qualifying as shutdown reactor operator. He would just kind of sit there silently with a poker face, letting the reactor training assistant ask the questions, and he would look up from time to time, looking you straight in the eye, and you couldn't tell whether you said something stupid or if you were correct. He gave you no indication, and you just kind of felt like an idiot no matter what you said. But he definitely understood how difficult it was to qualify, and he was there to also train you as well. And he was a very good mentor in that regard as well. I'd also like to thank Captain Menazer, call sign Nasty, CEO of the Nimitz. Probably the greatest CEO I've served with. He was always in the propulsion plant, always came down to visit the nukes, even though he was so much to be taken care of on the ship with the flight deck and all the other 5,000 people that were under his charge. But he was never too busy to come down to the propulsion plant to spend some time with us nukes down in EOS and all the other spaces. And left an impression on me as well, how important it is to be on the deck plates, and that's what deck plate leadership is all about. So even the CEO would come down and sweat with us on watch to come down, to be part of what was going on down there. He always seemed curious, but he also seemed to know more than I did when I was on watch. He would come out and talk and kind of explain what we were doing, and then as if he didn't really know, but he actually knew a lot more than I did at the time. I'd also like to thank one of my former division officers. I've had a lot of great ones. One of them that comes to mind is Lieutenant Ben Allen. He was far and away the best Divo I had the pleasure of working with. He truly understood the mentor and what training the division officer was all about as the chief and Divo relationship. He knew what that was about. He embraced it, and I really appreciated that with him. And I learned a lot from him. We learned a lot from each other, and we worked together quite well. And I was sorry to see him go, and I had to train a new Divo. But he was definitely the best one that I worked with, and I'm still friends with him to this day. Also, I'd like to take a moment to thank all the people on the Yorktown today for making this ceremony possible, and making this such a special day. I'd like to thank my retirement coordinator, Chris Scipione. You stand up, Chris. Yeah, he did a lot for this ceremony, a lot more than I was expecting to do, and I really appreciate all your effort in making this such a special day for me and my family. I would also like to thank MC1 Phillips, who's not here to put together the beautiful program that you see there in front of you. I appreciate his help. And last but not least, I'd like to thank the most important person in my life, my soulmate, my best friend, my beautiful wife, Katie, who has always been by my side on this incredible journey with me. I owe you so much for all of your love and support and sacrifice in pursuing my career and dreams instead of your own, and for supporting me in everything that we've done, and always taking on the toughest assignments and trying to do my very best in the Navy to serve the Navy and serve with distinction, and you've always allowed me to do that, and I couldn't have done it without you. You're the best friend, wife, and mother a man could ever have. You've done an incredible job raising our daughters, and I love you so much. And I look forward to spending much more time with you at home, and I really start enjoying life and traveling and doing the things that we've always wanted to do together. I often forget about how much time I've been away, how much time I've spent out to sea, all of the deployments, underway time, duty days, but Katie knows, Katie remembers. She actually calculated it out. It's actually 43 months, 2.5 weeks, 9 days, 16 hours, and 43 minutes. But no, she's supported me ever since we met. I actually lied to her when we first met. I told her that I was an engineer. I didn't tell her that I was in the Navy, or a Navy recruiter, because we know how reliable and trustworthy those people are. But she took a chance on me after I told her. And when I decided to re-enlist and stay in the Navy and get orders to the USS Nimitz, so first class at the time, I asked her to come with me because I felt so strongly about her. Even though I never told her that I loved her, because I wasn't sure if I meant it or not. I wanted it to be completely 100% true from the heart, and we didn't know each other well enough, at least from my perspective, to tell her that, because it meant so much to say that. It meant a lot to say that to her, and I wasn't ready to say that to her at the time. And even though I didn't tell her that, she took a chance and took a leap of faith with me, and I'm so glad that she did, because this life has turned out so much better because of you. To my daughter, Abigail. Hi, Abigail. Thank you for being so understanding and being the light of my life every day, especially when I was away. Thinking of you and seeing pictures and seeing you grow and develop, even though I wasn't there to witness it myself. I know it wasn't easy, but you handled it in such a mature way, and always helping out your mommy and taking care of everything that you could, and being so supportive and understanding, and just being so sweet. And you will always be part of my career and my career in the Navy, and you'll always be part of the Navy family. I want you to know that. This ceremony is to recognize your sacrifice in missing your dad. You motivated me to do my very best and to make you and your mom proud. Having you to come home to made homecoming that much sweeter. To Caroline. Hi, Caroline. You make me so proud and so happy to be your dad. I love seeing you grow and develop each day, and I'm so happy that I'll be there now to see it, all the things that I missed with Abigail. When I look back on my career and the events and times, the people, the achievements that were most impactful to me, there are a few things that I'd like to share with you, a few that stand out. The first was 9/11. I was a brand new sailor, 2001, just completed nuclear training at NPTU Ballston Spa, and just reported to the USS Carl Vinson, stationed in Bremerton, Washington. It was there that I first met Ernie Cruz. I'll never forget it. Even though he's only 4'5", he is very, actually I brought the stool for him as well, not just for Abigail.
Thank you.
He was very intimidating because he's wicked smart, wicked sharp. He's a very dry sense of humor, poker face, kind of like Captain Client sometimes, because you can't tell whether he's pulling your leg or not. He'll tell you something, and we're like, "Is that true?" And he's looking at me like he's serious. I guess he means it. He's smart, scrappy, sarcastic, and he knew how to take care of himself. Right? He loved to mix it up with people who were bigger than he was, right? But he could back it up. But don't let that fool you. He's such a good person. He loves to help others. He loves to get to know people. He's such a warm and kind heart. I'm so glad that I could start my career with him and end it here as well in Charleston. One of the things I remember about him most was when I first met him, he'd be on top of the switchboards up in we do quarters, and he'd crawl up on top of these great big 4160-volt switchboards, kind of dangerous, but he'd be up there anyway, crawling around. You never know where he would, and then he'd just jump down on you, right? Tackle you, wrestle you to the ground, and you have to wrestle Ernie to leave or to go on watch or to eat or whatever you had to do. You had to get through Ernie first. But it was a good time. I really enjoyed it because that behavior probably wouldn't be tolerated in today's Navy, but back in 2000, it was a bit different time. We had a lot of fun on that ship, and Ernie instantly made me feel welcome. So I appreciate it, Ernie. It was on the Carl Vinson where I embarked on my first deployment in the Navy. I had no idea what was coming in the beginning, spring, early summer of 2001. I was studying hard to qualify as an operator on the propulsion plants. Lots of long hours studying, learning the systems, procedures, communications, damage control, and it can be very overwhelming for a new sailor. But fortunately, I had some great shipmates to help me along the way. Jeff Muse, Tom Nichols, Gene Wiley, to name a few, that made every day an adventure, and it made it fun to be on the ship. I was on the Carl Vinson where I experienced my very first overseas port visit in Pattaya Beach, Thailand. It was a wild place. You get off the ship and there were people with AK-47 standing there, right? It was like stepping into a Jean-Claude Van Damme movie or something. I was like, all of a sudden I'm in Thailand. It's like blood sport. They actually had Thai kickboxers and all that. It was pretty awesome to see that for real. Children begging for money, offering you candy on the street. Little or no infrastructure, no sewer system, no real economy to speak of. I had never been outside the country before. It was my first experience in a third world country. But it opened up my eyes to the many privileges and freedoms that we enjoy and many times take for granted here in the United States and as Americans. This truly is the greatest country in the world, and we must fight to keep it that way. Shortly after, we were on our way to enter the Persian Gulf to enforce the no-fly zone over Iraq and Kuwait when the 9/11 attacks occurred. I was on watch as #1 throttleman, operating one of the ship's 4 main engines in the propulsion plant, when we received a call down to our control station informing us that a plane had crashed into one of the twin towers of the World Trade Center. At first, we thought it must have been an accident, that it was a single-engine plane, a small plane, not an airliner. But a few minutes later, we got another call informing us another plane had struck the other tower of the World Trade Center. We knew something was happening, but we didn't know what. As soon as I got off watch, I went up to the mess decks and watched it on TV with everyone else gathered together. We couldn't believe it. We watched the towers fall. We watched firefighters rush in to save people and get killed in the process, all on live TV. We saw an airliner crash into the side of the Pentagon. We saw another airliner crash into the fields of Pennsylvania. We didn't know what was happening, but we were ready. We were motivated to strike back. Little did we know, 2 weeks later, we would get the chance to do just that. The ship did circles in the Arabian Sea off the coast of Pakistan, waiting to receive the order to launch strikes against those responsible. Finally, the call came. It was no longer training. This was for real. We launched plane after plane. Every plane we had, every missile and bomb we had, loaded to the hilt with ordnance. It was surreal. Bombs and missiles strewn across the hangar bay and the mess decks. People writing messages on them with Sharpies, like something out of a World War II film. Something I never thought I would experience. We conducted round-the-clock combat operations for 72 days straight. It felt good to get back at those responsible for carrying out those cowardly attacks and be part of the mission and part of the Navy and part of the tip of the spear of what we joined the Navy to do. It was something I'll never forget, and I'm proud to be a part of. Another experience that changed me forever was my experience as a Navy recruiter in the San Francisco Bay Area. I always like taking on new challenges, for anyone who knows me, and taking on new roles, having new experiences, and recruiting was just that and a lot more. When I checked into the command at NRD San Francisco, I'll never forget what they told me. They told me that this wasn't a 3-year billet or 3-year tour. This is 36 individual 1-month tours. I didn't know what that meant at the time, but it meant you had to make goal every single month. You had to put 2.5 people in the Navy. Or you'd wind up working Saturdays or Sundays, or worse, get sent back out to sea. It's a tough job at times, but can also be very rewarding. And I had some great leadership and great sailors and officers and chiefs that helped me along the way, and I really appreciate their leadership in contributing to my professional development, and I'm grateful for that experience. I'd like to recognize 2 of my former shipmates in recruiting who made it fun and were very supportive when I arrived at my recruiting station in NRS Santa Clara in San Jose, California. Nicole Irving and Jay Realubit. I appreciated their dedication and their instant friendship, even though they didn't know anything about what I did in the Navy as a nuke. They were surprised to see me show up in recruiting. But it's a different experience walking around in uniform all the time, oftentimes in your dress uniform, in the community that you live and work in every day. I found I usually got one of 2 responses. Usually either people, when they saw you in uniform, they would either stare at you or they would pretend they didn't see you. But that's also where I had the privilege of meeting another mentor of mine, retired Master Chief Stan Olson. He helped me tremendously in taking me under his wing and made me his right-hand man in as the advanced programs recruiter for NRD San Francisco. So we successfully took back NRD San Francisco's crown as the top recruiting district in the nation for nuclear field and advanced programs by using the tools that we had more effectively and communicating with our recruiting stations. And I had a lot of fun in that tour and going around high schools and colleges and all over the Bay Area and giving presentations to students and telling them what the Navy was all about, what the nuclear power program is all about. It was a great experience that few nukes have the chance to do. He also convinced me to stay in the Navy and maybe want to make me have the experience of being a chief and make the Navy my career. And I really appreciated his leadership for that. So after I made that decision, and I received orders to the Nimitz, I made chief, and then after that, I got transferred back to the Carl Vinson. And at that time, he also warned me about one of my guest speakers, Kevin Erskine, my soon-to-be boss, the new RDMC on the USS Carl Vinson, and also a fellow recruiter from the Bay Area. Who you are, recruiters? Stan warned me that Kevin was the smartest, most put together, and strictest chiefs that I would ever meet. And that as a new chief, I would have to straighten up and prove myself to him every day. And that was certainly true. Kevin ran a tight ship and a tight department. I was so fortunate to have you as my first RDMC as a chief and be welcomed into the chief's mess by such a capable, professional, and dedicated leader and mentor like yourself. I remember before I even reported to the ship, you called me on my cell phone, actually. I think I was in Virginia at the time. Somehow, I don't know how he got my number, but he did. He wanted to know when I was reporting to the ship and why I was late. I was like, late? My report date isn't for 2 weeks. Like, what are you talking about? But he actually just called me to make sure I was okay and I was going to make my way to the ship okay and if I needed anything. That's the kind of leadership that Kevin Erskine has and the compassion and vision that he has to take care of his sailors, even before they even get to be in his charge. So I appreciated that about him. But he was intimidating. Until you got to know him and found out that what he was really all about. Taking care of people and driving the organization towards success. Many of the same things that he just said about me, certainly true for you, Kevin. I learned the most from him during that tour as a new chief. And I thank you for your leadership and guidance and your effort in guiding me to become the chief that I am. Appreciate it. Your first chief's tour is always your hardest. But fortunately, like Maverick and Goose, I had a wingman. and that was Brian Decker. Brian and I first met on the Nimitz. We were both were in the same division, and both successfully got advanced to Chief Petty Officer together. As soon as we met, we became fast friends, like everyone Brian meets. You can't help but be drawn to his big smile, welcoming, warm, and outgoing personality. We had a lot of fun going through the season together aboard the Nimitz, and I'll never forget it. We found out that we made Chief as the ship was pulling out of the channel in San Diego on the very first day of deployment. It's one of the most challenging, frustrating, and yet fun and rewarding experiences that I've ever had in the Navy, going through the Chief season at the beginning of a deployment. I've never seen a Chief's mess come together like they did on the Nimitz for that season, during our season. It seemed like every single Chief was engaged and there to mentor us at every turn, at every corner, even in berthing. They would show up, they would be there and make sure we were minding our P's and Q's and doing everything 100% correctly. It was a great experience working from people from all over the ship and different departments that we normally don't get a chance to work with. And it was a great, it was so challenging, but also so rewarding, especially now looking back at it. One of the experiences I'll never forget was being in the sweat box, the storeroom beneath the Chief's mess, where we used that for mentorship and guidance and learning, and a lot of exercise, a lot of PT in our uniform. I remember being down there because it was so hot. It was like over 100 degrees down there. It was like no ventilation. And be in the push-up position the entire time, just sweating, kind of like we are now here. And only to have the ship CMC Clark, come down to tell us while we were in push-up position that on a scale of 1 to 10, our intestinal fortitude was at a -2. He was the most intimidating person I've ever met in the Navy, actually. I've met some intimidating people, let me tell you. He was from Haiti, and although he didn't really have an accent, kind of a slight accent, but he was just so intimidating. No one ever sat next to him in the Chief's mess. Everyone was just very, very intimidated by him. But he was a great CMC, and I got to know him later on as well a little bit. So very cool to be part of that. But it was a once-in-a-lifetime experience to go through that with a best friend, Brian. And I couldn't have asked for a better friend and partner to experience that with. Brian and I also had the unique and fortunate opportunity to both go to the Carl Vinson together as new chiefs and take over Reactor Electrical Division. I was 1 plant and he was 2 plant. And it was a monumental task getting the ship ready for its first deployment in over 5 years. It was in the shipyard coming out of a refueling. And most of the crew was new to the Navy and never been underway before. So looking back, it was about as challenging a first tour for a chief as you could get. A lot of bad attitudes, a lot of bad habits, and people not really understanding what the Navy was really all about. They thought the shipyard was the Navy, and that's not what it's about at all. So Brian and I got the opportunity to show them what being in the Navy, what being an electrician's mate, what being a Navy nuke was all about, and we got to do it together. And fortunately, we got to do it with some great sailors who made it that much more enjoyable and that much easier. So I was fortunate to have some of the best sailors that I think I've ever served with in the Navy working for me at the time. Frank Urbage, Brittany Lawson, John Hershey, Kurt Schriever, just to name a few. We did some great things on the Carl Vinson. We sailed the ship from Virginia around South America to San Diego, and as Kevin alluded to, we stopped on the way in Haiti to provide humanitarian support after a devastating earthquake struck in 2010. It felt good to lead the world's response effort in that crisis and be the first on the scene in providing humanitarian aid, water, medical supplies, food to all the people in Haiti. And we made a big difference in that. And we stayed there for almost a month providing humanitarian aid. We also buried Osama bin Laden at sea 10 years later after 9/11. And it felt good to be one of only a few handful of people to be on the ship at both times. I'll never forget the ship shutting down all outside communications and turning off the cameras on the flight deck. I had no idea what was coming or what was going on. Although later I found out that my wife, Katie, she knew. She was an ombudsman for the Carl Vinson for over 1.5 years. And for those of you who don't know what an ombudsman is, it's somebody who takes care of kind of the ship's liaison between the upper chain of command, the CO, XO, and CMC, to the ship's crew. And she did a masterful job in taking care of people and communicating what the ship was doing. And she found out that information long before I did. We didn't find out for about 2 weeks later because they shut off all the TV as well. We didn't even know what was going on outside the ship. But we did find one thing that was kind of puzzling. We did notice that there were 2 90-pound dumbbells missing from the ship's gym. Apparently, they were used to weigh down the coffin when we buried him at sea. And my last tour here at NPTU Charleston was also very rewarding as well. Like I mentioned, I got to serve with Ernie Cruz again, as well as my friend Dan Duran, who helped me tremendously on the Carl Vinson as well. He was there for all those events. And now he was the Command Master Chief at NPTU Charleston. It's so invigorating and so exciting to work with him again and be under his leadership at the command. And same thing with Ernie. Ernie also now a Master Chief at a CMC as well at Moored Training Ship 635. So I was in it was a good company and so awesome to be reunited with my shipmates. So it was so great to see both of you leading from the front and creating and delivering on so many important initiatives to help the Navy and help our sailors. Both of you have done so much for the Navy and the future of the nuclear power program that most people aren't aware of what all the things that you've done in the past few years. And it was an honor to serve with you. And I appreciated the opportunity to lead with you and become part of it. Part of that highlight was having the privilege of developing and leading the Sailor Development Group at NPTU, or establishing it with the support and direction of Master Chief Duran and my friend, now Master Chief Derek Cross. He was a tremendous help in creating a new program and getting it off the ground and training our sailors not only to be great operators, but be great leaders, communicators, and mentors to junior sailors. And I'd be remiss if I didn't also thank Zach Montello, who started the Sailor Development Group at NPTC. I really appreciate all your efforts, Zach, in doing that and establishing that, flagging the path that I could follow. So the Navy is better off for it. We're better off for it. And I'd also like to thank my relief, Senior Chief Jeff Mejia, for relieving me, and I know the program will continue to grow and flourish in his capable hands. In conclusion, I have a few messages I'd like to share. To all the junior sailors out there, first of all, thank you for coming and supporting me today in the ceremony. I appreciate your time and your efforts in this. BM1, appreciate all of your professionalism, and I love bosun's mates. So they don't have those on submarines, so yeah. All right. I've seen so many changes in my time in the Navy, and most of those changes have resulted for the better. And most of those changes have sprung from brave and motivated junior sailors, changing the norm and mindset and bringing new ideas up from the deck plates. I challenge you to do that and to keep doing that. You must push the envelope, even if it falls on deaf ears. To the chiefs, it is our job to ensure the U.S. Navy remains the greatest Navy in the world by pushing the envelope and continually improving our processes, our procedures, and above all, developing and training our sailors and officers. Thank you for being the backbone of the Navy and always having our sailors' best interest at the heart of everything that we do. Leadership is so important, and the Chief's Mess has the greatest and largest influence on the Navy. It is important that we exercise it and ensure that we don't lose the credibility that we have built up over the many years. To the officers, it is your job to get involved and learn from your sailors, to train them and educate them as well, and to ask the tough questions, to back up the chiefs, to work together with the Chief's Mess to ensure they have all the information and resources they need to take the lead and develop and train our sailors. To have the high-level view and share that information to ensure that the best tactical and strategic decisions are being made with the most detailed and up-to-date information possible. Communication should be the priority of every officer, ensuring the lines of communication are enhanced up and down the chain of command at every opportunity. And finally, to the families of sailors and military members around the world, it is your love and support that makes what we do possible. I appreciate your sacrifice. It's such a noble and just cause that has profound impacts on families and children and loved ones supporting the military. But it is with special purpose that we make this sacrifice for this wonderful country. Please do what you can to get involved and help military service members, families, and veterans. It has been a privilege and an honor to serve the United States Navy. It is bittersweet that I am leaving the Navy, an organization that I love and will be forever grateful for, that has given me so much and blessed me with this great life. God bless the United States of America, and God bless our military.
Thank you, Master Chief. Master Chief Levin will now be presented with the flag of the United States of America. Flag detail. Post. Each Navy Day begins with the ceremony of hoisting colors at 0800, with lowering the colors at dusk. Master Chief Levin has lived under its fold for his entire 24-year naval career. Each salute of the colors will remind him of freedom that he helped to defend. Command Master Chief Zachary Montello will now read Old Glory.
I am the flag of the United States of America. My name is Old Glory. I fly atop the world's tallest buildings. I stand watch in America's halls of justice. I fly majestically over great institutions of learning. I stand guard with the greatest military power in the world. Look up and see me. I stand for peace, honor, truth, and justice. I stand for freedom. I am confident. I am arrogant. I am proud. When I am flown with my fellow banners, my head is a little higher, my colors a little truer. I bow to no one. I am recognized all over the world. I am worshiped. I am saluted. I am respected. I am revered. I am loved. And I am feared. I have fought in every battle of every war for more than 200 years. Gettysburg, Shiloh, Appomattox, San Juan Hill, the trenches of France, the Argonne Forest, Anzio, Rome, the beaches of Normandy, Guam, Okinawa, Tarawa, Korea, Vietnam, the Persian Gulf, and scores of places long forgotten by all except those who were there with me. I was there. I led my sailors and Marines. I followed them. I watched over them. They loved me. I was on a small hill in Iwo Jima. I was dirty, battle-worn, and tired. But my sailors and Marines cheered me, and I was proud. I was on Ground Zero in New York City on September 11th as cowardly fanatics attacked America. I was raised from the ashes of once proud buildings by brave firefighters, heroes who risked their lives to save others, showing all that America, although bloody, will never be beaten. Those who would destroy me cannot win, for I am the symbol of freedom, of one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I have been soiled, burned, torn, and trampled on the streets of my own country. And when it is by those whom I have served with in battle, it hurts. But I shall overcome, for I am strong. I have slipped the surly bonds of earth, and from my vantage point on the moon, I stand watch over the uncharted new frontiers of space. I have been a silent witness to all of America's finest hours, but my finest hour comes when I am torn in strips, to be used as bandages for my wounded comrades on the field of battle. When I fly half-mast to honor my soldiers, and when I lie in the trembling arms of a grieving mother at a gravesite of her fallen son or daughter, I am proud. My name is Old Glory. Long may I wave, dear God, long may I wave.
Flag detail, dismissed. Retired Master Chief Dan Duran will now read the Chief's Retirement Creed. All Chief Petty Officers, attention and cover.
You have on this day experienced that which comes to all of us who serve on active duty in our Navy. I say our Navy because your departure from active duty in no way terminates your relationship. By law and tradition, United States retirees are always on the rolls, ever ready to lend their service when the need arises. The respect you earned as a chief was based on the same attributes that you will now carry into retirement. You should have no regrets. Do not view your retirement as the end of an era, but rather as orders to a new and challenging assignment to form independent duty. Remember well that you have been and will always be an accepted member of the most exclusive of fraternities, that of the United States Navy Chief Petty Officers. The active duty chiefs salute you. Chiefs, hand salute. Ready, two. Your retired chiefs welcome you, and I wish you the traditional farewell and following seas.
Chaplain Redmond will now deliver the benediction. Please rise.
Let us pray. Most gracious God, we thank you for granting us the opportunity to gather here and honor Master Chief Bart Levin and his remarkable career. As he aspires to achieve great things beyond the Navy, bless Bart with the faith, vision, and creativity needed to fulfill his deep desire and calling to serve you and your people. God, help him to chase his next calling with the same fervor and patience, perseverance that guided him through his challenging service in the nuclear Navy. May Bart's and his family's journey from this point on be a smooth voyage full of nothing but fair winds and following seas, as they've most certainly earned it. Lastly, God, before we depart today's celebration, grant each of us the opportunity to personally thank Bart and his family for the countless contributions, exceptional leadership, and incredible legacy they've afforded to us and the greater Navy. May your blessing and protection continually follow them all the days of their lives. We pray these things in all faith and trust. Amen.
Amen. Please be seated. Bosun, post the side boys.
Post the side boys back. Side boys, right?
Master Chief Bart Perry will now present the watch.
For 24 years, Master Chief Levin has stood the watch. While some of us were asleep in our bunks at night, this sailor stood the watch. While some of us were in school learning our trade, this sailor stood the watch. And yes, before some of us were even born into this world, this sailor stood the watch. In those years when the storm clouds of war could be seen brewing on the horizon of history, this sailor stood the watch. All the time, he would cast an eye ashore to his family, his wife Katie, daughter Abigail, Caroline, and see them standing there, needing his guidance, needing his help, just needing a hand to hold, and yet, this sailor stood the watch. 24 years, this shipmate has stood the watch, so that we, our family, our fellow countrymen and women can sleep soundly in safety each and every night, knowing that this sailor stood that watch. But today we're here to say, should be, your watch stands believed. Believed by those who have trained, believed by those who have guided, and believed by those who they have led. Master Chief Bart Levin. Should be, your watch stands believed. We have a watch. Stand with you. Bosun, stand by the side. Gently, open the shore.
Stand by, side aye.
This order has been passed on naval ships from the 1500s through today. Spanish, French, English, Dutch, yes, all navies of the world use the bosun, side boys, and call to bring aboard or ashore all ship's company officers, visiting officers, dignitaries, and VIPs. The side boys would haul on the ropes and raise or lower the boarding platform, so officers would not have to climb the ratlines, which are hanging over the side and used by the enlisted crew when going aboard or ashore. This honor was extended to visiting officers, dignitaries, and port officials, and it was not uncommon for the commanding officer of a ship to order up the jolly boat, a crew of 8 strongbacks, side boys, and bosun, to send an old shipmate to his shore retirement, home, never to sail on naval ships again. All hands on deck was passed. Speeches were made about great victories, battles fought along the open ocean, raging storms weathered, and voyages too distant and strange lands with ports of call others only dreamed about. Master Chief Levin will now report to the executive officer and request permission to go ashore for the last time. Master Chief Bart Levin, United States Navy, retired, departing. It has been customary for the retiree to be accompanied by their family as they go ashore for the last time. You ready? Navy family, retired, departing. Ladies and gentlemen, this concludes the retirement ceremony for Master Chief Levin. On behalf of Bart, his family, and entire command, thank you all for attending.